Hi, my name is Renaté Bianca. I'm an artist, songwriter, composer, and librettist. I'm here to talk to you today about the backstory to my one-woman show that's in development called I Don't. It's about personal agency in toxic relationships. In our collective storytelling, our romantic storytelling, we have this notion of, and they lived happily ever after. Then the credits roll, that's the end of the movie. We're not really instructed on how we get that happily ever after. Most of us know it's not that straightforward. And despite the fact that we know that relationships, romantic relationships, are challenging, people navigating long-term committed relationships aren't necessarily forthcoming about what isn't working, what's challenging, and how they're navigating serious difficulties. And it's kind of understandable. I mean, it's personal and people want to keep that stuff private. At the same time, we need to have conversations to develop a framework and language to articulate relational dynamics and to understand what we experience, especially when it comes to identifying toxic relational dynamics. Now, it's not something we necessarily want to talk about because the moment you say toxic, we think of this binary of victim and perpetrator. It's unhelpful. And it's also a conversation that no one is really rushing to have, understandably. Now, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist, I'm just an artist with a heart. And in my songwriting and in my one-woman show, I do want to look at these difficult topics, hopefully with sensitivity, with understanding, maybe some insightfulness, and definitely with care. I think it's really important that when we have these conversations and when I'm addressing this in my artistry, it's not about blame and it's not about alienating. It's not about framing men or framing any particular gender in a certain way. That's just not what it's about for me. I offer songs, not counseling, but I do hope that what I bring artistically sparks conversations and sparks honest conversations in which we can show mutual respect and understanding and a willingness to look at ourselves and a willingness to examine who we are in connection. At the heart of these kind of conversations really is the question, and it's a vulnerable and exposing question of how we sit internally with ourselves and how we relate to ourselves. My one-woman show is about personal agency in toxic relationships, and that's obviously challenging, it's heartfelt, but it's also quite funny. It won't be the last thing that I write that's deep and meaningful and that lifts up the rocks to see what's underneath. I do that not to offend and certainly not to vilify. That's not my agenda. I do it because I think it's worth doing. And I wouldn't do it if I didn't think there was hope. I wouldn't do it if I didn't think that collectively, in connection, and by examining difficult things, we can actually heal and address the things that need addressing. There's so much healing, even just in acknowledgement, and that can be personal acknowledgement, it can be mutual acknowledgement, in finding the language to articulate for ourselves and to others our own personal experiences. My show, I Don't, is well underway. It's got its first table read this month, which I'm very excited about. While it's in development, I will be sharing more resources related to this topic, and that can be on my website, which is renatebiancamusic.com, or it might be on my Facebook page or my LinkedIn profile, which is Renaté Bianca. At the end of the day, I think this is a really important topic, this topic of personal agency in toxic relationships. It's important that we talk about it, and it's important that we address it in connection. We exist in connection, and obviously we hurt in and through connection, but we also heal in connection. I have a growing hope that there's light at the end of the tunnel for any person who's willing to ask themselves the difficult questions of how they exist and how they connect in their significant committed relationships. I'm hoping that this is helpful to you and that you're as excited as I am about seeing this show come to the stage. In the meantime, like I said, I will be sharing resources, and I hope that you'll share with me. Go on a journey with me, and yeah, feel free to leave a comment, send me a DM. And I do have some further writing on relationships and healing and connection on medium.com. Just look for me there, Renaté Bianca. And yeah, I'll be sharing more. Look forward to hearing from you. Bye.